Hey family, this is Paula G, and you are watching Music Vision Television right here on PositivePower21.org. Hey family, welcome to my journey. I'm your host Paula G, and today on the journey with me is recording artist Jawanah Connor. How are you, love?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You bearing this cold weather here?
Yes.
It's cold for me because I'm from Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm used to it. I'm tired of it.
You're used to it.
Yeah.
Tired of it, but you're used to it.
Definitely.
So share with the audience a little bit about your journey through music, how it got started, and your journey to where you are now.
Basically, it started with just singing in church.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather, he had a group, and he's from down south. Okay. So basically, it started with my grandfather, and then my mother was a praise and worship leader. Oh, okay. And so my grandmom, she would play, and we started out in the Baptist church. She would play, she played during, I guess you would say during praise and worship. Then they didn't call it praise and worship. Right. But it was before the pastor preached. She would get me, a whole bunch of my cousins together, and we would have to sing before the pastor preached. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was about maybe 7.
Wow.
Somewhere around there. So, and then...
So it was just ingrained in you.
It was kind of, I just kind of remember just singing. Yeah. Yes, it wasn't something that...
Like y'all are going to church, right. You're going to get up there and you're going to sing.
Yeah, basically, that's how it was. And kind of when we grew up, it's kind of like you just did it. Yes. But I enjoyed doing it. So it wasn't something that was like a chore for me. Mm-hmm. So, and I always tell this story every time, but my mom told me that one time, but it was me, my mother, and my brother, and we were in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And she said I was 2 in the high chair. And we were singing, my brother and I, we were singing a duet that they used to play on the radio. Yeah. And my mom told me that at that time I told him that he was singing the wrong part. So
you were how old? 2 years old?
So yeah, I said, you're singing the wrong part. So she said from then she knew that it was something that I was going to love to do. Yeah.
It's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah, definitely.
We had a guest earlier and he was saying that music has been such a part of his life that, when you have a gift, you don't realize it's a gift, right? Because it's your norm.
Exactly.
Everyone else is like, ooh, look at this 2-year-old singing, but it's your norm, so you don't realize that it's a gift that you have, and one that the seeds are planted so early in your life, and it just grows with you as you grow as well. So we started in church, and we were singing in church, and as we went through school, how did that manifest?
In school, I can recall being in kindergarten. I was about 5 or 6 for kindergarten, first grade. I remember my music teacher, and we used to do talent shows. We used to perform for like spring concerts, Christmas concerts, and I remember my solo was "If I Had a Hammer," and that was like a real famous, it's an old song. So she allowed me to sing that, and I remember her saying, she's like, you're really going to be a singer. Like I just remember singing, on stage. Yeah, she let me sing, and it stayed in my memory. So just coming up in school, I really didn't enjoy the music in school, that style of music. But where I grew up, that's the kind of music they sung. Right. So it was kind of like choral music. It was what we had to pick from. Right. So when I was allowed to sing in church, it was like my favorite time to sing because that was the style that I loved. Right.
So, do you feel like the music that you maybe were singing that you didn't particularly enjoy? Was it a struggle to sing that music as well, or because you had such a love for music, even though I don't like the style, I just have a love for music and I just want to sing?
Yeah, it was basically that. I just, it was the only thing I had to pick from in school. So I said, I'm just going to enjoy what we have.
Right.
And all my choir teachers, I can remember them, just giving me solos. Like I did the Pointer Sisters. Mm-hmm. I'm So Excited was one of them.
Right.
And I remember one of my teachers saying, Jawanah, just take it to church. And I was in like 7th or 8th grade when he said it. And I was like, okay, I got that. I can do that. So it was just, I just made it my own. Yes. Even though I didn't like the style, I just made it my own. Right. So.
And therein lies the gift, because you made it your own.
Right.
You made it your own. Awesome. So what were some of the other things that you enjoyed doing when you were in school? Were you a student?
No, I wasn't always an A student. No, I wasn't a trouble child. Praise God, I wasn't, because I was too afraid of my mom, so I was a trouble child. Right. We just respected our parents coming up. That's just what it was. Mm-hmm. It's the era we came up in. Yeah. So no, I wasn't a trouble child, but I loved sports. Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, I ran 4 years of track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did high jump. I did hurdles, the 400, the 100 hurdles.
Some of the field events.
Yeah, 400. Well. I didn't do any of the field, just the high jump.
High jump. Mm-hmm.
I ran the 400. And I also enjoyed competition cheerleading coming up as a little girl.
Okay.
So I did some tumbling,
right.
Some coaching cheerleading, things like that. Because, in the suburbs, that's what you did.
Exactly.
You did activities, So I enjoyed life coming up. I really did as a little girl. Mm-hmm. My mother, she kept us active.
That's good.
So that's what we did.
Because moms will do that. They always gonna keep.
Yes.
They always gonna keep you busy.
You gonna stay out of trouble.
Doing your chores and all that good stuff.
Exactly. Chores was definitely in that. That wasn't the choice.
Right.
So.
Right. You sing your. I think a guest we had earlier was talking about singing his way through his chores.
Yeah.
You sing your way through your chores.
Definitely. The broom turned into a microphone every time I had it.
Were there any particular songs when you were singing when you were growing up?
Well, it's kind of strange, because even as a little girl, gospel music was always my favorite genre. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that there was a difference in me compared to my friends. Yeah. Because they liked, what they call secular music. Right. And I like secular music too, but I always noticed that this gospel was my favorite genre. Right. But I can say some of the secular artists that I like would be Anita Baker. Mm-hmm. Of course, Whitney Houston. Yes. Just some of those really like powerhouse singers. They were like some of my favorite singers coming up. Mm-hmm. As a little girl, those are the ones who I love to hear. But like the gospel artists that I love were the Clark Sisters. Love the Clark Sisters. Yes. 100%. They were like one of my favorite groups. We had Kurt Franklin. I remember Kurt Franklin coming out. I remember just being in my room, and I remember the first time they played him on the radio. Because when we came up, gospel music on the radio was real taboo. Right. There wasn't, you didn't hear gospel music on the radio, right?
You're right, yeah.
So I remember just hearing his song come on the radio for the first time, and I was just like almost in tears, because I was like, wow, this is a gospel song on the radio.
On the radio.
It was like, it made history. So just some of those singers, it's just so many of them. I could just keep naming them, but those are the ones that I remember just kind of like sticking out, and just me just loving to sing. Kim Burrell, just singing their music. Those were the ones who really touched me. Ty Tribbett, of course, right. Who was like in my era, right. But just those artists.
What is it that music just does for you when you're singing, when you're performing? What does music do for Jawanah?
Music is definitely therapy for me. Mm-hmm. It's a must for me. Mm-hmm. Some people, they do it, I guess, because they like to do it. Right. For me, I would do it even if I wasn't paid, because it's just something that I need to do. Because it's therapy for me. It's something that I love. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's a necessity. To me, it's healing. Not only to me, but to other people. Yes. And like you talked about earlier, is it being a gift? Mm-hmm. When you're younger, you're told as a gift. Right. But it wasn't until I got older that I realized that it was a gift, and I didn't want to take it for granted. Right. I understood the value. The value, yeah. Mm-hmm. The power and the value that God, and the responsibility, right. That got placed in my life. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the performing, the recording, how did that all come about?
I think around about 18 years old. Mm-hmm. I realized that this is something that I wanted to do, as a career. Yeah. But did not realize what it took at that age to make this a career. Mm-hmm. And of course I was going to college. That was what you did. Oh, you went to college. So And
it wasn't if.
No,
it's
you're
like,
going.
Where are you going?
Yeah, where are you going? So I went to college, and I love school though. Mm-hmm. You know, I wasn't what you would call a brainiac, but I just love school because I love to learn, and I love to teach too. So school wasn't like that hard for me, but I had to study a whole lot. I wasn't one of those kids who could just go and just pass. Right. You know, so I went to school. You know, of course I did that, but at the same time I was still recording in the studio with my cousin. Okay. He has a studio. And it was just a passion of mine. And I realized, you know, at 18, how difficult it was going to be to make it a career. You know, because of the obstacles that you have to go through to actually make it a career. But I didn't know until I was about 18 that I wanted to write. Because at that time I was just singing, you know, singing other people's music. You know, but then it just kind of, I can't even remember when it happened. I just started trying. Right. And then, you know, it became something that I loved doing, and then the songs just started coming to me.
Because it's part of you. Yeah,
which I didn't know. Yeah. You know, that was part of the second, I would say almost like it took me some time to realize that I had that gift. I didn't know I had that. You know, I knew I could sing, you know, but I didn't know that I could write. And I remember because my husband is an excellent writer. He writes, he has books and books and books and books and books and books of just songs that he wrote. Right. And I remember one time he was telling me, he was like, you have to start writing your own music. He said, and not only write it, but start singing it. He said, because you're actually a good songwriter. And so, you know, I don't think he knows, but I took his idea and just started thinking, okay, well, let me just start writing my own music and let me start singing it. Because you have to be confident to sing your own music. Right. You know, it's not like taking somebody like a Clark Sister song and just singing it. You know, you have to be confident in your own. So
right. But it's a beautiful thing when you have a man that already sees that in you. You know, that you have the gift and the ability to write your own music. Right. And perform your own music. Yes. You know, so that's good that you have that support and you have that confidence, that he has that confidence in you to know that, you know, that you can do that. So, yeah. Awesome. So you began writing your own music. Yes. Performing your own music. Yes. And then from there, where did you go from there? Did you sign with a company, a label? No.
Actually, my journey is just really not, I guess you would say, I don't know if typical is a word, because everybody's journey is different. Yes. My journey was just it just was ordinary. You know, there was no like wow moments when I was younger. Right. You know, I was raising my family, you know, with my husband, just taking care of my children, making sure that, you know, they had what they needed. Right. And, you know, because family's important to me, yes. You know, it's definitely a big responsibility, and it's a ministry. And I believe that, you know, that has to be taken care of before you can do the other things that God has called you to do. So what happened with me was, that's basically what happened. You know, I raised my children, right. You know, I went to school, I worked, you know, just started working, you know, but the passion of it just never left, because basically what I did is I just became a praise and worship leader. Okay. You know, I became a praise and worship leader, a choir director. And
in the midst of raising your family.
Basically, yes. Right. That was basically how I was able to, you know, demonstrate my gift.
Right. Just to continue to use it during that time. And I think that's important that you say that, and that, you know, people who may have a gift and are on a journey, because a lot of times, you know, someone might have a gift and they'll say, well, you know, I can't use it right now because I've got to raise my children. I'm working a full-time job. But the challenge is to find a way to use it during those times. You know, when you're working that job, when you're raising those kids, you know, those children, to find a way to use that gift. And it sounds like you did that.
Yeah, it was possible. That's what I could do. Yes. You know, and now that, you know, actually I'll be 39 next month. And, you know, most people, most people, they just kind of say, well, you know, but for me, it's just something that is going to be done until God calls me home. Yeah. It's just part of me, you know, and then now that my children are getting older, you know, I have a little bit more freedom to do certain things, right. You know, so I do, you know, just different events, you know, sometimes, you know, go down south. I just came back from Florida. Awesome. One of my songs was nominated for the Agape Awards with Miss Kitcher Williams. Excellent, yeah. And so, you know, I just came back from Florida, and it was a nice experience to meet some people, you know, some different people who, of course, I would have never gotten a chance to meet. Right. And it just, you know, God is just opening up doors, and I'm grateful, because the one thing that he told me was, you know, you just have to be faithful. Exactly. You know, you have to be faithful. You can't just say, and you can't despise small beginnings.
Right.
You know, and the one thing that I learned now at this age is that I really love ministry. I love performing. It's great. You know, I love my gift that God gave me. But the one thing that I've learned about myself is I love ministry.
Yes.
You know, so I love to be able on Sunday mornings to be able to minister to the people, because it's something that they need.
Right.
You know, it's not just me getting up performing and saying, "Oh, see me, this is me, I'm doing this."
Right.
You know, this
You're feeding them.
Right. It's something that, because I needed it.
Right.
You know, I remember coming on Sundays and needing to hear a word or needing to hear somebody minister through song,
Right.
and, you know, just receiving a deliverance. So to me, that's so important to me. So if God never gave me a grandiose, you know, award,
Right.
you know, $1 million, it's cool with me, because I'm like, you know, I love ministry.
Right. You're using what He's given.
Yeah,
you.
I love to do that, and that's something that I'm always going to do.
So share with us some of your current projects, some of your current songs that you're promoting.
Yes. Well, one of the songs that we just did is "I'm So in Love with You," and that was a song that I actually wrote a long time ago. I was like probably 18, somewhere around there, when the words came to me.
Oh my gosh.
I actually used it at my wedding when I married my husband. I revamped the words to fit him.
Right.
So I walked down the aisle to that song. And so one thing I do is I like to remix my songs.
Yeah.
I'll remix them and change them and hear different things, because you're different, you know, as you grow, it changes.
Right.
So that was one of the songs that is just dear to my heart. My oldest daughter, who is a musician, she composed it. And so when I hear it, it just...
So that legacy is continuing.
Wow, yeah. I mean, the first time I heard her, because she was in her room, because when I first did it, it had different music to it. And it's kind of funny how God can just give you ideas and say, take that same song. Remember that the words that I gave, you can use that, because it fits. You know, it was beautiful. She was in her room one day, and she was playing, and I was in my room, and I was just like, I heard it. And I was just like, wow, it just really hit my heart. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this song is beautiful. And she just kept playing. And then I remembered the words, and I came in, and I started singing. She was playing, I started singing with her. And that is my favorite, absolute favorite song. Absolute. And it probably will always be my favorite song, because when you love God and you know you love Him, it's like it's a passion.
There's something that permeates. So what do you see down the line as far as new projects, or where would you like to go with your music?
I really enjoy collaborating with the youth. It's something that I've noticed that I love doing. I work with children all my life, just my education. And one of my daughters is a dancer. She's a ballerina. She's studying, and a lot of times she'll dance at my shows. And I love the fact that we could collab with the young, you know, children, because coming up in church, that's how we learned.
Right.
You know, we didn't go to voice lessons, or, you know, our parents didn't put out a whole bunch of money for us to learn how to sing.
Right. It was
we learned in the church, right? But it was but the thing that's important for people to know in church now is what you do now. You don't realize what you're producing. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the thing that, you know, coming up in church, I think we've gotten away from that.
Right.
And so God, that's another conviction that I have, you know, is that I would not have this gift if it had not been for church.
Right.
You know, if I didn't have
that foundation.
Yeah, the place to display it. You understand what I'm saying? Not so much that I couldn't just sing at home, but the fact that I was able to display it, perfect it, embarrass myself, you know, get up there and just miss notes and forget word. You know, those
that's part of the process. Right. That's part of the growth.
Exactly. That's you have to do those things in order to get better.
Right.
And had it not been for the people, the ministers, the pastors, the teachers, who took the time to say, you know, Jawanah, that's good, but this needs work. Right. You know, constructive criticism. You know, these children, these are the things that we need to do with our kids so that they'll be prepared.
How does it feel as a mom? You've seen your child perform. You know, do you see yourself in her?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, wow. I'm like, you got some of the stuff I don't like about myself, and some of the stuff I do like about myself.
Like holding that mirror up.
Yeah, she's talented.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a composer. She goes to Baltimore School for the Arts. She can read music.
Excellent.
She plays the keys. She plays the drums. She likes to work the boards in the studio.
So she's just well-rounded.
Yeah. So when we did "I'm So in Love with You," she went in the studio and worked the boards.
Wow.
While she's only 17.
Wow.
So just to see that, you know, my one daughter, she's an actor. She's very gifted in just being able to just give her a script, she reads it and she memorizes it. Just has it. And you know, my baby girl, of course, she's a dancer, and my son, he's an athlete.
Right.
So he likes to sing a little bit, but you know, he's really into the sports. Him and my husband, you know, my husband coaches, and so they bond in that way.
Right.
You know,
and that's so important. But just family,
right?
Just so important on this journey. And you know, it sounds like you have your priorities straight.
Right.
Family is important.
Yes.
You have your gift. You're using your gift, and you have figured out how to kind of intertwine it as you continue this journey.
It's definitely difficult. I would say it takes time to learn the balance.
Right.
Because you know, you don't. To me, I notice in families, like, you don't ever want your children to be jealous of what you're doing. You know, you don't ever want them to feel like, you know, that's more important than they are. But then at the same time, you know, when God speaks to you and you know that he's speaking to you, right. We have to be careful of idols.
Yes, that's true.
And you know, that's the one thing that God spoke to me. He said, you know, you have to be careful of idols, and your family can be an idol too. Right. Your children, your husband, your job, your car, you know, whatever you make an idol, he gave all of that to you. And if he wants to take it away from you, he can. He can. You know, so, and I'm very, you know, very aware of that. Right. So it's very, for me, you know, one thing I've always learned is you don't play with God. You know, people play with a whole lot of other people.
But you don't play with God.
But no.
The gifts he's given you and everything that he's poured into your life. Yeah. Well, we're going to continue our journey, and we're going to listen to some music by Jawanah Connor. This is My Journey with Paula G.
So in love, I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you. You are the lover of my soul. I'm so. You are the captain of my sea. I'm so. You are my knight in shining armor. I'm so. The one who created me. You're the lover of my soul. Lord, you're in control. I'm so in love. You are. You're the lover of my soul. I'm so in love. Lord, you're in control. I'm so in love. No one I'm so in love. Cause I'm so in love. So in love. with you. 'Cause I'm so in love with you. You reach to the inner core of me. You give me so much liberty. You never see the bad in me. You only see the good in me. You put that fire inside of me. We have striking chemistry. You help me fulfill my destiny. And that's why I can see you're the lover of my soul. Lover of my soul. Man who's in control. Man who's in control. Lover of my soul. Lover of my soul. Man who's in control. Man who's in control. Man who's in control. 'Cause I'm so in love with you. 'Cause I'm so in love. So in love with you. 'Cause I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you.
Hey family, welcome back. This is My Journey and I'm your host, Paula G, and we're here with Jawanah Connor. And we just listened to an awesome performance, which was awesome, absolutely awesome. And before the break, we were also talking a little bit about her music journey and how music has been a part of her life from the age of 2 when she told her brother he was on the wrong note, cousin brother, they were on the wrong note. So music has always been a part of her life, and she shared with us just how it has just meshed and gelled into her journey through school, elementary school, middle school, high school, and while she was raising her family, how she continued to keep music as a part of her life. And now that her children are a little bit older, her journey has shifted, her journey has changed a little bit in regard to her music ministry. So we're going to continue the journey talking about her music, but right now we're going to talk a little bit about her testimony and what that has looked like along her journey. So share with us what has been or is your testimony.
I would say I have a whole lot of testimonies. The one that I definitely love to share is I like to relate to church.
Yes.
God has really been speaking to me about just, coming up in church and how it makes you look at yourself. And I talk lately I've been talking a lot about this, just about how, when you're raised in church, you're almost raised to think that you should be perfect.
Yes.
And so God has dealt with me about that just in my journey. I know, I speak to my husband a lot about it. And I would call myself churchy. And I would say that he's more like an intellectual type of person. And a lot of times he would say, when you're raised in church, you have to learn how to be open-minded.
Yes.
And it's hard to be, for me, I know that's a journey for me. Because if you're raised in church, kind of raised by the law, and you say, okay, well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. That's your foundation. Yeah, that's your foundation.
So it's almost like breaking your foundation,
right?
And rebuilding.
Exactly. And so the tradition that was in me, I knew was not going to be good for my journey. You understand? A lot of this stuff, that you learn in church is good. Right. You get your foundation, you get your basics of what you're supposed to do, But coming up in life, you have to learn how to be open-minded, because if you're going to minister to people, right. You have to minister to people. Like, me going to college, I didn't go in college and finish and be done like that. Right. It was a journey. Right. I went to several colleges before I graduated. It wasn't, and a lot of times when you don't do stuff perfect the way you think it's supposed to happen, you kind of feel like, I'm not living up to
what the standards that have been set of what it's supposed to do.
There's a standard, and I learned that it's not really there.
Right.
There's the standard that you're taught. It doesn't really exist. So this thing about perfection and just trying to be perfect, and just the law,
and being so hard on yourself.
You become very not only of yourself but of other people. And so for me, my journey now is to look at people, because I'm in social work now, and I have a lot of different clients who come in with different, they have
challenges,
substance abuse issues, they have psychiatric things that they're dealing with, and the stories are sometimes shocking. So you have to be ready to deal with those types of stories. You can't judge people,
right? Because they're coming through the door with their baggage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just even trying to be a wife, you're learning how to be a wife.
Right.
You don't come in already being a wife. You have to learn that. And, for me, I know that was a process. I was nowhere near ready to be a wife.
Right.
To know what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So it's these things that we learn.
You had a patient man.
Oh yeah,
I loved you.
He's probably like, look, girl, but no, but these are the things that you're learning.
Yeah.
And that has to be taught. It's a journey. As you go along the way, you learn what you should do, what you should not do.
So you all have been married for,
I would say 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. And which is a beautiful thing nowadays, because there are marriages that don't last 15 minutes.
Exactly.
So and I always, couples who've been married more than 10, 15, 20 years, I always like to ask them to share what you feel has been or is the successful key or keys to your marriage. What has helped your marriage to grow? And I realize there are challenges.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I would say, I think the main thing that we have in common is family. You have to have, two people have to have something in common. And I think that the thing that we have in common is family. And when you focused on that, you can learn and you can grow.
Right.
But you have to have some, you have to have that common factor.
Right.
I'm also learning that, a person is going to be them. You're going to be you. And that's the good part about it. You learn how to bring those together. Right. So just family, just learning how to keep and just communication also, which is extremely difficult. Just learning how to communicate. Yeah, and trying to talk to one another, because I know me, I'm not the best communicator. But I'm learning that you have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to talk. Even with your children,
right.
You have to have some type of open mind, and that's the one thing I love about my husband, because he's with kids. He sits down and he listens to stuff, and I'm just like, well, I don't know if I agree with that. That's me. I'm like, I don't know,
I don't know if I agree with it.
Yeah, that's you're a little open minded. I'm kind of like, we're gonna talk about this later, because I'm not really,
Right.
But just the balance. The children, they need it. And just also just navigating, like you said earlier, just trying to balance out, what should I do today? What should I not do today?
Right.
If you see
the discipline.
Yeah, the discipline. Just if you see something, when you see a need, you should meet it. You can't ignore needs. Like, I saw my son, he's getting older, and he's going to another level.
Right.
And I noticed, I was like, okay, well, I put the time into the girls, and now my son is getting to that level where it's like, Mom, I'm gonna need some extra help. So it's just, when you see the need, you have to meet it. You can't ignore it.
Right.
And sometimes you want to ignore it because you're tired.
Right.
You're like, I'm just not going to do it. But when you see that has to be met, you have to make room for that. And that's, I would say that's a part of my testimony, because it's not always easy to do that.
Right.
You have to be able to put yourself to the side.
Right.
It's not about being selfish. It's about learning that everybody else is important. It's just not about you. Family, to me, I think is
key.
It's key. It's a struggle, but if you want to do it, and you put your mind to do it, you can do it.
Right.
So I just love that. I just love that God, he just always continues to convict me in certain areas, because then I know that means I need to be better.
Right.
You have to keep you can't ignore what God points out in you.
Right.
You know, you have to say, okay, all right, Jawanah, this is what you need to fix.
Right.
You know, so you need to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you work on it and you get better and you get better. Because my mom was kind of like the mom that would say, yeah, Jawanah, you did good here, but you need to fix that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of like how I was raised. So for me, constructive criticism, it follows me. Like God, for some odd reason, He always allows me to be
in a place.
to be in a place to constantly to work on myself.
Right.
And I think I can appreciate that now. You know, whereas before you kind of like, all right, God, all right, I got to fix this. All right, I got to fix that. I got to fix that. But I like the fact that He does that to me, because that means that I'm going to get better. You know, I'm not going to stay the same. I'm not going to be the same person. I'm going to evolve.
Right.
You know, and that's what it's about for me, to become who He's calling me to be.
Right.
Because if He says He creates you in His image, then you're going to be created in His image.
In His image, that's right.
And that includes
That's
everything.
right. Yeah.
That's, you know, everything about you needs to be created in His image.
So as you've grown as a woman, and as you've grown as a wife, you know, I'm sure there are times, like you were saying before, you know, I was saying your husband was probably patient with some of the things that you've grown as a woman, and you've grown as a wife. What has he meant to you in that growth process?
He's funny. He probably doesn't know, you know, but he's the one who says you need to push yourself.
Wow.
You know, yeah, he's the one who says you can't be tired. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to.
Gives you that. He's your rock. He's your rock.
He's the one that says, and I'm like, okay, you know, sometimes I'm like, ugh. You know, but he's the one that says, you know, let's keep doing this. Let's keep moving. You know, let's keep, because we moved from Jersey to Atlanta to here. Was going to start a business in Atlanta. But I know it was God who shifted us here.
Right.
Winded up shifting here. You know, so he's the one who keeps the family together. Like the kid, you know, just, you know what I mean? You need that. You need somebody to say, you don't always need somebody to clap for you. Right. You know, you don't need
that foundation.
Yeah, you need somebody to say, yeah, people say, okay, you
tell you about yourself.
Right. You need somebody to say, you need to push here, you need to push there, you know, and I'm like, I appreciate that because it makes me better.
Yes.
You know, and I'm growing. And for me, my whole objective is to be in the image of God.
Yes.
And I know in order to be in that image, there's certain things that you have to exemplify. You know, coming up, they talked about character.
Right.
You know, in church, and this is another thing that God has been speaking and dealing with me is, you know, if anybody reads the word, they know that this is the end time.
Yes.
You know, and if you know about the church ages, we have like the Laodicean church age, which is the last church age, and it tells you what's going to happen in the last church age.
Right.
You know, we have children shooting up schools. You know, we have
all these calamities going.
Yeah, it's just so many themselves. It tells you that. Right. You know, so for me, it's not a surprise that these things are going on. Of course, we hate it. Right. You know, but the truth of the matter is, it's not going to get better. Right. If you read the word, it tells you that.
And so you're just going to kind of.
It's just going to continue.
Flow and flow. Yeah. What? Tell me what, as far as your music is concerned, and your career is concerned. What Dr. Fred Newsome has meant to you?
Oh, definitely, Dr. Fred Newsome. Just him coming into my life. I was doing First Faces of Gospel, you know, which is something I was like, well, let me just try it, you know, let me just see, you know, what it's about. Right. And it was a platform for me to, present my music. And actually, the day that I got called to do the show, I was not even supposed to be singing that night. Somebody decided that I guess they weren't going to show up. And then the funny thing about it was, one of my friends called me and said, oh, I'm doing First Faces. Can you sing back? It was like the same night. Everybody kept asking me to do so. Can you sing background for me? Yeah, cool. You know, I'm not doing else. I come and sing background for you. She didn't show up. So the whole night was just all crazy.
Everything just flowed in.
It just was crazy. So, and then my daughter, I told you she's a dancer. We had to do something with her that day. So I was like, okay, we're going to take you here. You do whatever you got to do. Then we're going to go straight to First Faces. It was about a half an hour away from, I think it was in Windsor Mill at night or something. It was like a nice little drive. So I got there and didn't really prepare. You know, I'm always prepared because they say, be you also ready, you know, coming up to church. You never know when they will call you up. That's what they do to singers.
Right.
If you're not a singer, you've never had to go through this. But they will call you up at the last minute and do not care, right? So I always have something ready, you know, just like in my heart. And so they called me up, and I think Miss Marette Brown Clark was hosting that night. And she interviewed me that night. And I came and just sat down, you know, and Mr. Fred Newsome, he came over and he just, you know, tapped me. We had talked before that though.
Right.
We talked because I had actually applied. I saw him online and he was doing some things in the city, and I had put my paper out and I was interested, and I actually forgot that I did.
Wow.
I actually forgot I did. So when he came over and he was like, "Hi, how you doing? You know, I'm Fred Newsome." He said, "Yeah, you're Jawanah." I said, "Yeah." And then I remember I said, "Oh yeah, I did apply to, you know, your show that you have coming up," because I don't know anybody.
You didn't say, "Oh yeah," like you forgot, like you told him, like,
yeah,
oh,
I'm like, "Oh, Mr. Newsome," you know, I'm like, "Oh my God," you know, I'm just a real person. I don't know how to be any other way. You know, so I'm like, you know, that no, definitely not disrespectful.
Right.
But just saying, you know, because, you know, I'm from Jersey, so I don't know anybody out here. You know, I don't know who's who, and I don't know who does what. And so when I met him, I was just like, you know, I thought he was a nice man. I'm like, he's nice. You know, wow, this is a nice man. You know, I didn't know who he was.
Right.
So,
which is probably a good thing at the time.
Right. I was like, he's really nice. He's very respectful, and he just seems, you know, you can feel guys.
Good man, it's nice.
Yeah, you can feel
his.
his.
Say good people.
Yeah, you can feel his presence, and you know, just the God presence that was with him. And so we just talked from there, and he just was like, you know, I just have some things that, you know, we wanted to collaborate. And once I realized who he was, I was just like, wow, God, you just really blessed me. Like, you know, he's very, very respected in the city. And not only respected in the city, but just his spirit. You know, I'm just glad that God connected me with somebody who has the heart that he has. Yeah. You know, because there's so many people out here just not honest. Yeah, and you do not want to be connected with.
Right.
And you know, the enemy has a way of connecting you with those type of people. So I'm just happy that, you know, he is who he is, and he's a protector, you know, of his artists. And he's just honest. Right. Like, you know, I just need somebody that's going to be straight up with me. I'm an ordinary person. I say that all the time. And I don't say that as any disrespect to anybody. Right. You know, and their positions, I was, you know, taught protocol in church. I understand all that. I respect pastors, ministers. But me, I'm just Jawanah, and I've been ministering all my life. You don't have to call me Minister Jawanah. Right. I'm just Jawanah.
But I think what you're saying is important, though, because there, you know, artists out there that may be on the virgin voyage of their career, and you know, sometimes they look out and they see, you know, other artists and they think, oh my gosh, you know, they're just so larger than life,
right?
And you have to be larger than life. And I think it's important when they see someone, you know, that is gifted, that is talented, that is on her way, saying, I'm just an ordinary person.
Yeah.
I got a husband, I got children I can take care of, I got a job.
Exactly.
You know, I make mistakes.
Yes.
You know, I'm just an ordinary person. So I think that's encouraging, you know, to people who maybe are just starting this journey.
Right.
And maybe a bit intimidated, you know, where they can look out and say, okay.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, but I think to me, it should be like that.
Yeah.
You know, because people get caught up in these titles and these, and then it becomes we make a spectacle of God.
Right.
That's not what he's asking for.
Right.
You know, he's not asking us to be over the top. You know,
right.
He's asking us to use the gift that he's given us.
Exactly.
And just display the gift and just be who you are. You know, we're not calling for celebrities. You know, he's not calling for that. You know, if you call if that's what people want to call you, then that's fine. But that's not. You know, in the end time, that's not what he's calling for. He's calling for souls to be one.
And I think it's important using the gift that he's given you, but also taking responsibility for what he's given you.
Exactly.
Also, family, like you said, that's most important. You know, I know I have this gift. I know I have to use this gift. If I don't use this gift, you know, if we don't use what God gives us, he'll take it away. But I also understand the responsibility that I have family. He has gifted me with this man. He has gifted me with these children. And, you know, as a wife, and just vice versa. You know, it's you know, I'm responsible for taking care of them. So, like you said, finding that balance. You know, that I think that's all part of our journey as well, as what God has given us in the form of the people around us and the family around us, and taking care of them while using the gift that he's given us, and us finding that balance. I think that's where our growth definitely, you know, our growth lies.
And that's what one thing I like about Mr. Newsome is he just you know, you talk to him and he's just you just talk to him, like, you know, and he's just like, Jawanah, you know, I'm just it's going to be a great journey.
Yes.
You know, and I can only respect somebody who I know is a family man, you know, who respects his wife. You know, those are the things that you see in a person.
Oh my God.
You know, where you're not looking for all those other things like, have you done this and have you done that? And I know he's done a lot.
Right. You're looking for the character, looking for the integrity.
Right.
Yes.
I know, trust me, I'm starting to understand what he has done.
Right.
You know, but just to me, for me, you know, as Jawanah, those are the things that's important. You know, I'm not too concerned with all of that because I'm almost 39. I haven't been rich yet.
Right.
So what difference does it make at this point?
Right.
You know, if God chooses to bless me with the riches, I'm going to be grateful for it.
Right.
But if he doesn't, it's okay. You know, it's okay because I do what he asks me to do because I love doing it.
Right.
You know, so wherever it leads, I'm fine with that because I want to die saying that, you know, I did what God asked me to do.
Right.
Not that I did it because he was going to bless me with billions and billions of dollars.
You did what he asked you to do.
Yeah.
And you know, we leave this earth as empty vessels. I think it was Miles Monroe who said the richest place on the planet is the cemetery because so many people go to their graves having not used the gifts that God has given them. So I think it's our duty and our responsibility to leave this earth as empty vessels.
Right.
So as you continue your journey, you know, with your music and your family and so forth, as you continue this journey, what is it? And you mentioned ministry, that you love ministry.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience that maybe you haven't shared, that you want to share to maybe help them along their journey?
I would definitely say that prayer is important.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I would definitely say that for me, it's a necessity. There was times when I didn't pray.
Right.
You know, what I mean by that, having that time to pray. And when you don't pray, you don't give yourself time. You don't give yourself time to talk to God, let him speak to you.
And find out.
Or find out what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
You know, otherwise you're just kind of like trying to figure it out. You know, that prayer, if people say, you know, old people always say, you know, you're supposed to pray. And I'm like, well, why do you have to pray all the time? You know, but as you get older, you realize that is so important. Yes. I need to be connected with God. Just period. You know, I need to have that time. I need to be able to speak to him. I need to be able to take that time and say, God, what is it that you want me to do? And people need to make that a priority. Right. It has to be a priority. Even if you don't make it to church on Sunday, you have to set aside time to pray and talk to God and try to hear what he's telling you to do, so that you know where to go. That's what I would say. And in what direction to go in. And you have definitely shared with us your journey, your music journey, your life journey. And Jawanah Connor, she is a living testimony that through faith and through prayer, your journey, my journey, our journey, at the end of our journey, if we continue to walk in faith, we continue to pray, we continue to stay focused, at the end of our journey, we all want to hear those words, well done, my good and faithful servant. This is My Journey with your host, Paula G, right here on Positive Power 21. Hey family, this is Paula G, and you are watching Music Vision Television right here on PositivePower21.org.